Hi there. In this video I'm going to show how to put a Kivy application on your iPhone. I've endearingly subtitled it the nuclear option because I've tried so many times and messed up so many installations of different software that I just felt better resetting to factory settings when I finally figured everything out. So as you can probably tell, this process is giving me a lot of grief. So I'm made this documentation for me just as much as for anybody else that might need this, so I hope it helps. Okay, what you're looking at now is an article that I've put up on my website, so if you don't want to listen to me stumble through my explanations, hopefully this article will get you through the steps you need. Link is in the description. I'm using an M1 Mac, which has probably added a little to my struggles. Okay, here we go. As I mentioned, I'm going to start by showing you that I will reset and erase this computer. I think there's a new feature on Macs and it's a nice one. So you go to System Preferences, then on the ribbon select System Preferences again, then erase all content and settings, and you have to enter your password. And I'll pick up on this video when the computer is restarted with the new operating system. Okay, I've now completed the erase and reset, and here's what my storage looks like. Next, I'm going to install Homebrew. I just go to the Homebrew website, copy the link, and run it in a normal terminal. Towards the end of the video, I'm going to make a Rosetta terminal, which you need to use for the Kivy project. But until I explicitly say that I'm using the Rosetta terminal, I'm just going to use the normal terminal. I've seen articles where people have different versions of brew, but so they'll have a x86 64 version of brew, which is the conventional, and then ARM64 homebrew, which is specific for the M1 chip. But in this video I just need the regular one, which the conventional one, the x86 64, which is what I'm getting right now. After Homebrew is installed, set up the path by copying these commands back into the terminal and hit enter. In the article I referenced below in the description, I'll show my zprofile file so you can see what it should look like. Next, I'm going to install Xcode, and I found another article that I'd like to follow. I'll have a link to it as well. It tells me to go to the Apple developer site. I'll need my Apple ID and password, then download Xcode. And so this takes a while because it's a big file. You can also get it from the App Store, the Apple App Store, but I just followed these preferred instructions. Once inside, it's pretty straightforward. Find Xcode and download it. And like I said, it's going to take a while because it's 10 gigabytes. Then once it's downloaded, expand the XIP file, and this will also take a few minutes. Okay, once it's expanded, the article recommends to rename it with the version and then move it into the applications folder. Then I will download command line tools for Xcode. When it's downloaded, unpack it and install it. Okay, brew config shows the path to Xcode and some other things that you might want to compare if you've already installed this stuff and are still having trouble. You can find this in the article I've referenced below, my brew config. For this video I forgot to run Xcode, so before doing anything else I really need to run Xcode so it installs some other stuff. So here I am just running Xcode. which I forgot to do before, and you can see it's just installing stuff. Okay, and here is my brew config details with Xcode, which may seem pretty obvious at this point, but it wasn't for me before. And here's some other stuff you might want to check or reference. Next, we'll install Python. I know there are a few ways to install it, but I'm just going to the Python website and download 3.10 Universal because I'm using that version in another environment. I've done this before and even wrote an article documenting everything using the Intel version of Python, so even though this is an M1, that seems to be fine. You'll still have to use the Rosetta terminal, which I'll get into later. So this is pretty trivial. I'm going to speed up the video here and just remember to run the certificates and the update the shell profile command at the end of the Python installation. Okay, at this point I'll show you my .zprofile file. This has been pretty confusing for me because at times I've installed stuff that was .bash or .zshrc. I wouldn't be surprised even if I've created some other .dot file. I know you can access it through the terminal, but here I'm just going to access through my user folder. If I do shift plus command plus period, you'll see all the hidden folders in the file, or the files in the folder. And then I'll just double click on my .zprofile file. Okay, next I'm going to set up the Rosetta terminal. I'm going to go back to the applications folder and search for terminal. Then I'm going to scroll down and find the actual terminal icon. And then I'm going to right click and duplicate. Got to enter in my password. Then when the other terminal pops up, I don't know which one's which, but I'm just going to pick any of them and then do rename. So I'm going to rename it terminal-rosetta. Then I got to enter in the password. And then I will right click again, get info, and I'm going to click open using Rosetta. Then I'm going to open the Rosetta terminal and right click the icon in the dock and save it to the dock, so keep it in dock. And I'm going to do the same with the regular terminal. And as you can see after I do that, once you hover over each, it'll tell you which one is which. And honestly, after the installation of this, I've not really used the Rosetta much, the Rosetta terminal, because I can just build projects from the regular terminal, but for now I'll just keep them both docked. Next, I'm going to set up my folder structures in the Documents folder. I may have mentioned already, but this computer is pretty much only used for Kivy stuff, so you may have things a little different, but what I'm going to do here really makes sense to me, especially when it comes to the Toolchain environment, which has been pretty elusive to me until just recently. Here's a layout of what I'm going to build within the Documents folder of my Mac. I will have an underscore environments folder where I will keep and build my Python environments. And then I'll have a Kivy builds folder, which is where I'll build the Toolchain environments. Toolchain environments get built from inside the virtual environments. Again, you'll see what I mean as I go through it. The Kivy builds folder will also be where Xcode projects that get put on your iPhone get created. Then I have a Python project where I write all my code. Here I'm calling it whatsticks-kivy-03, which is just my GitHub repo name. I may have other folders as I make other versions. The important thing here is the Kivy builds folder. Like I said, you can do it another way, but after you see what I'm doing, you'll see why I've organized it this way, and you can adjust as you see fit. I'm going to set up my Python virtual env. Just before that, I'm going to set up my Python alias in my .profile file because I forgot to do that earlier. And I'm going to do that by opening the .profile file, and at the top just enter Python equals Python 3. Then from inside my Rosetta terminal, which I've named terminal-rosetta, I'm going to cd into my underscore environments folder and do python-m vnv vnv underscore wsh kivy. After I make the environment, I'm going to activate it. Then I could just pip install my requirements text file, but for this video I'm going to pip install the Kivy stuff manually, or at least I'll just copy these 3 pip install commands, which are pretty simple. If you need, they're referenced in the article that I've been referencing. Once I do that, if I do pip list, you can see that the Kivy and kivy-ios are installed. kivy-md is also installed, but you don't need kivy-md to get Kivy on your phone, or the Kivy app on your phone. I'm using it in my project, so I have it. Here are a couple of recipes you'll need for kivy-ios. They are listed in the kivy-ios Github documentation as necessary to have. I'm not sure what they do, but you'll get an error if you go any further without them. Also, you'll need to install them through the regular terminal, not the Rosetta terminal. The way that I have brew set up, they won't work right. Brew won't work right through the Rosetta terminal. This is my GitHub repo that I'm using to build my app on my phone. In case you have trouble with building the pip stuff manually, you can use my requirements underscore mac underscore wsh kivy02.txt file. I'll just do pip install. So when I do this, I'm actually back on my Rosetta terminal. For GitHub, it doesn't matter, but soon after it will. I'm going to do pip install for the rest of the libraries that I need for this project. And with that, I should be able to run my Python app. So I'm going to do Python, my main, Python main.py, and this is going to hopefully run the app. This is the first time I'm running Kivy here, so it might take a while to do stuff, but okay. Alright, cool. So that works. So this might crash. Okay, so I've got bugs in it. We'll work on it later. That's not the point. So now what we're going to do is, the next step is, now to set up the Toolchain environment, you'll again definitely need to be in the Rosetta terminal if you have a Mac M1. Then I'm going to navigate to my Kivy builds folder. And here I'll show you what the Toolchain environment looks like before you add the recipes. If you type in Toolchain status, the terminal will return all the recipes that you've added. Since I've added none, they will return not built, but after they'll have something next to them. So from here I'll enter the recipes that I need to build. The first two, which are Python 3 and Kivy, will take a good 20 minutes to run. So you might want to pause here, let that run, and pick up after they've completed. So now that Toolchain has built Python 3 and Kivy, let me show you what your Toolchain environment should look like. There will be a hidden .cache folder in my Kivy builds folder, as well as a build and dist folder. Also, when I do Toolchain status, I'll see a bunch of built recipes where before it said not built. I will need to add a few more recipes to my project. They'll take less time. These are necessary for my app. Your app may need different recipes, and you'll know because when you get to actually building the app on your iPhone in Xcode, Xcode will return an error in the terminal, and it'll say something like module recipe or basically the name of the library you need that's missing. Then there are two ways to add it through Toolchain. You'll either do Toolchain build or Toolchain pip install. I've not figured out which one for what. As you can see here, now I'm doing Toolchain pip install instead of Toolchain build. Now I'm going to go build the Xcode project. Okay, so let's get this out of the way. This doesn't need there. Okay, we don't need this. We could actually, I think we could do either one, but I'm going to stick with this. So now I'm going to go to cd documents ls. Okay, I'm going to cd kivy builds. Oh, it was just there. Okay. Okay. Now, so I'm going to build my what sticks app. So I'm going to do Toolchain. Okay, so here actually, I'm just going to show you. So right now, we've got in Kivy builds, because we've been building stuff, these folders showed up. But now, when I do this Toolchain build, I'm going to use build Toolchain create. Okay, so create. I'm going to call it what sticks health. And I'm just, yeah, what sticks health. And then, or actually, I'm going to do 11 because I've still got a few on my phone. So 11, then I need to put in the folder that this comes from. So I'll go into here and I'll just pick any of these files. I'm going to get the folder path. This is how I get folder path in Max, but you just need this folder path. So I'm going to paste in it. So you see user, Nick, documents, what 603, create, and I'm doing this from inside Kivy builds. Okay, so that's very important. So I do this, and now if I go into Kivy builds, you'll see this is in it. And let me show again why that's important. So if I do cd out of Kivy builds and I do Toolchain status, now there's no builds in here. But if I go in this cd Kivy builds, here we do Toolchain status, and now it's got the whole environment there. Okay, so now we've also got in Toolchains, we've got this what sticks iOS 11. So here I'm gonna do here, and now this should work. I'm gonna copy this icon because I spent some time on this. So I go into Kivy builds. So if you want to have a custom icon, you just replace that. I'm going to replace it, but that was a default Kivy icon. Now I'm going to open up this Xcode project. Okay, would you like to? Okay, yes. Now this is the first time I'm opening up Xcode on this computer now, since it reformatted, since it erased everything. Okay, so there's a few things we need to set up. First, I'm going to see here, this is a list of all the simulators, and I'm going to connect my iPhone to the computer, and I'm hoping it's gonna Notice that it's there. Okay, here we go. Leafy Outrider, untrusted. So I'm going to select that because I want to build it to my phone. Okay, so on my phone it's going to say, do you trust it? I say yes. Put in my code. Alright. Now, I'm going to click this folder here on this left panel. And here it's got a bunch of stuff, but we need to sign in. And this signing in, you need to make an account in the Apple developer site. It actually cost me $100 when I did it a long time ago. It's not that bad to set up, but yeah. If I find a link, I'll add it to the description. Okay, and then my password is okay. So I'm in here. I've got that. I think that's all I need for right now. Did I click on it? I don't know. Okay, so I'm gonna click here. That goes away. This is, again, I think if you just do it for the first time, since I'm doing this for the first time since I've opened this version of Xcode, so I'm gonna hit revoke. Okay, so that looks good. This looks good. Alright, so now I'm gonna just, if I just hit play, I'm hoping that this is typical. You get a bunch of these errors, and build succeeded. That's a good sign. And if it all works, it should show up on your phone. So, okay, I can't show it on my phone because I don't have, or I could set up a video, but right now it's showing up on my phone. And if it didn't, it would say something. This is the log, so if I try to do log in like you saw me earlier in the video, it's gonna quit. So it quit app. Normally that's because my APIs aren't correctly set up. But on my phone, that's all you need to do. So, wow, I'm so glad this works because I can't express how many different websites and videos that I tried to follow to do this, but that's it. That's the whole process. And like I said, I will have an article that accompanies this that hopefully makes everything clear. Okay, good luck.